What's good, everybody? How are you this Wednesday evening? I am your host, Lee Black. Real Talk for Real Men is live every Wednesday, every Saturday. And so I've been gone for what seems like a long time, but we are live tonight. So we're going to see how this goes because, as we know, the Memorial Day holiday weekend we just had pretty much sets in motion the beginning of summer. So we are in those dog days. A lot of people are experiencing rain and storms, but it's starting to be summer. So we're starting to get in that zone. I do see I got my co-host in the house, Mick Mac. Tasha, what's going on, baby girl?
What's going on, Black? How are you?
I am drinking and I'm okay because it's been a really long day, but I'm a little fucked up right now. But it's been it's it's a short week, but it's already a long week if that makes any sense. So,
Makes a lot of sense. Yep.
oh my God, how are you? How are you doing? I haven't seen you and we haven't talked in a few days. How are you doing?
I'm here. It has been a long day. It has been a bad day, so I'm probably not in the best of moods. So,
I'm gonna share with you that's we're in the same place. So for the one person that's watching or whoever's watching, full disclosure. I'm starting with a little bit low energy today because I'm forcing myself. It's a busy time. It's been a very busy time. And for what I do for a living, coming off of a holiday weekend, it's been a long week, and it's only day two, even though we technically had a long weekend, and that's a whole nother story. But in either case, welcome. And so Tasha and I, we're gonna start a show. We'll see how this goes because again, we have a new mantra here at not new. We have a mantra that we're following this year with Real Talk. For those of you who may not know, we made a commitment that we were going to truly make sure that this show takes a backseat to quality of life. And so for that reason, we take off when we need to, when, physically, emotionally, mentally, we're not in the right place. And of course, we observe holidays and we've had some bumps in the road and things like that. So we've been able to do what we have to do to keep ourselves safe, happy, and sane. Because at the end of the day, if our energy is off, we're not going to give you the best quality show. So full disclosure, she's not in the best mood. My energy is low, so we'll kind of see what we get started here. Literally, I'm going to give the family a few minutes to join, and we'll see if tonight is one of those nights where we do a full show. And hey, this is a work in progress, and so we
yeah.
very well may end up doing a shortened show. But just in case anybody wants to know what we're talking about tonight, the intention is to talk about the boomerang kid phenomenon. Now, Tasha has not seen. We didn't discuss this, so it wasn't planned out. So this is just a topic I want to talk about. So I wanted to ask you, McMack, when you hear that term, just off the top of your head, what does it make you think of? When you hear the term the boomerang kid phenomenon.
The boomerang generation, the adults who move out and then like move back home. That's
Absolutely.
so.
Absolutely. And I wasn't really sure that people would catch the reference to it. And that's kind of why, I use that term, but it's one that I picked up from an article that I saw. Kendrick Sports Hustle. What's going on, my brother Kenny from another? Good to have you, my brother. So good to at least that you popped in. And so, yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to kind of talk about this because we are coming off of prom and graduation. That's what's been happening. That's all, and I'm sure for most of you who've got kids and family out there, and I see you got Terrence in the house. What's going on, Terrence? How you doing?
Awesome.
Mr. Lamb, Rashawn, I appreciate you, brother, for hopping in. And so a lot of people have been, AWOL recently because they have children, they have families. And what happens in the month of May? We're getting ready to close out in May. This is graduation, this is prom, and one of the things I looked at over the past few weeks is I've been looking at the new graduates of 2024. And if you haven't done so already, go to TikTok and just type in 2024 grads, and you will be in for quite a exciting time when you see the new bumper crop of young adults that's going to be hitting these fucking streets out here. It is a sight to behold. Now, look, I don't want to be the get off my lawn type of guy, but it is a new world out there, folks. And so, what I want to talk about is for a lot of these graduates, these elaborate ceremonies. I mean, these kids these days, these 18, 19 year, first of all, they all look like they in their fucking 30s, but we're celebrating graduations in a way that's never been done in my time. You know, these over the top celebrations with the Maybachs and the Ferraris and the Jeeps and the SUVs, and trust and believe, none of these cars that are showing up is the shit that I drive. I didn't see not one fucking Nissan in the bunch. These young people are going all out and spending that money. And it got me to thinking about, well, what happens next? Now that the ones that have graduated high school, what happens next? Are they moving on to new adventures, going to college, moving out? Because I moved out and moved away from home when I was 17 years old and I never looked back. Tasha, what age did you move out?
18.
18. Now, were you a boomerang child? Did you have to move back home to stay with mom and dad?
No, I live with my grandmother. I've never moved back home to live with my dad. Mm-mm.
So, what's happening, I want to talk about is how millennials, we got Sherry popping in. This is Sis. What's going on, Sis? How you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Tasha.
Hey Sherry, how are you?
Okay, coming along, Tasha.
That's what's up. Well, good to see you, Sis. Well, you popping in right as we're discussing the boomerang kid phenomenon, which we're talking about how when kids move out, they're coming either some of them never move out, but ones that do move out, they're coming back home, and so they're being called this boomerang kid in that sense. Kenny says you got that right. I didn't even have a car when I graduated. We're just in different times, you know, and
Hi,
so
Kitty.
once again, I don't want to be, that get off my lawn type of guy because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that this new generation they have more than we had. We were just poor, we didn't know it, and so they're these young people. They're just blessed to be in a situation where we are doing better. Their parents are doing better. So they are in many cases. How you doing, Izakar? Great to have you. These young people are growing up in households where they are exposed to better cars, better houses. They're not everybody's growing up in the low rent, rat infested apartments that was my generation. And I'm being for real. I'm not saying that, I mean for real. We grew up in tenements of Harlem, me and my sister. And so these young people are moving away. So I want to get y'all thoughts. We don't have any other family members on here, but we do have Lamb watching. We got Issachar, we got Kenny, and I want to ask you guys, what do you think, just in general, off the top of your head? What are your thoughts on grown grown kids still living at home? And I want to know right off the bat, are you for it or against it? Young adults, and I want to be specific here. I'm talking about past the age of 18. I want to know what your thoughts are on kids living home, staying home longer, and tell me, what do you think is the appropriate age for young people to move out? How you doing, Carol? Good to see you, sweetheart.
Hey everyone. I don't to this, I don't see anything wrong with it because trust and believe I'm 35, and if one of my parents ended up divorced or something or widowed, I would definitely move back home. Definitely move back home. But I don't see anything wrong with it, and I don't think that there is an age to where you can say definitively where somebody, especially now that somebody is ready to move out. We know how hard it is, how expensive that it can be, and how different it is. Hell, even from just 10 years ago, living by yourself, and what it means to like run a household. So I don't, it's, I know it's not for everyone. I know that we would, that we'd like to believe that it is. And at some point, you got to shit or get off the pot. But I, there's no, to me, there's no right age to where it's like, okay, definitely, like you need to get the hell out.
Mm,
And a lot goes into it too. Like, what are they doing? Are they working? Are they in school themselves? Are they working multiple jobs? Are they, taking like a full-time load in college? Or are they just laying there up in the house? Now, when you start getting into just laying up there in the house, okay, look, you can't you can't stay here forever. This is not a shelter. So,
okay. So I'm curious before I go to Sherry. Two questions.
mhm,
You said you don't think there's a right age.
no,
So that's one. Does that change at all if it's the difference between a boy and a girl, a young woman versus a young man? Does your thought process change?
no, not really. No.
Mm, okay. I'm coming to you next, sis. But Jenny from the block, Jenny P says, "Hey, hey, hey, nah, y'all.
You didn't.
How you doing, Jenny P? I'm trying to put a little inflection there." Brother Kendrick says, "I don't have a problem with it. I think we shouldn't be so quick to kick our 18 to 25-year-old children out of the house. That's just me." Sherry, what are your thoughts on this? Young adults living at home much longer. Hello.
Sherry, can you hear us?
Okay, sis, you're frozen. I wanted to make sure you're not having a stroke live on air, but
What?
too soon, Tasha. Too soon.
Way too soon. Like, why? I didn't even want to laugh. Like, I didn't want to crack a smile.
For those of you who don't know, my
Like,
sister's recovering from a stroke. Fuck it, I can talk about it. Okay. Brother Kenny says, "I agree, Tasha, as long as they are pursuing something productive." Jenny, I would like to know what you think. Are you for it or are you against it? So Kenny says, "Too soon, Black."
yeah, that's too soon. Okay, we just a
Look,
few weeks
it's
removed.
in
Look now.
God's hands, but shit, she froze up. So, anyway, let me get my thoughts. Okay, sis is popping back in.
Okay.
Sis, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear y'all now.
Okay. I thought you was having a stroke live on TV, but okay.
Shut
Anyway,
up. Okay.
what are your thoughts on kids staying home, young adults living at home past, 18, 25, 30 years old? What are your thoughts on that?
I think kids should be out on their own at a certain age because they need to be independent and learn how life is and how to pay bills. I think that I'm not for them staying home. Get out.
Okay. And Sherry and I discussed this leading up to this topic a week or so ago. My question is the same to you. Does that change at all when you consider whether it's a boy or a girl?
Okay, I feel like a girl. You give her a little more leeway because she a girl, and maybe I don't know. She should be trying to get out by at least 25, between 21 and 25.
Okay.
And a boy, a boy should between I say 18 and 21 because he needs to be learning how to be a man, learn responsibility. Because as boys, boys they more would be wanting to bring girls in. And they ain't gonna be laying up in my house and they ain't paying no bill with bitches coming in and out and all that. No.
Okay. Let me read what Lamb says. Lamb says, "I'm a millennial boomerang kid." LOL. "I'm for them staying until probably 25. While they would be saving money, investing in either working or in school must be building a foundation." So it's kind of what Tasha is saying as well. So I guess right, Tasha? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny says, "I remember my mother boo-hooing when I moved out at 18. If it was up to her, she would have wanted my brother and I to stay indefinitely." Oh, how sweet, Brother Kenny. Now, in my mother's house, In Eloise Young house, you knew to get your monkey ass out as soon as possible. It was instilled in us. It was basically insinuated from when you are 12 and 13 years old that you're not going to be laying up in there. First of all, you're in a house in such a way that you wanted to leave. Now,
Mhm.
maybe that's what has influenced me to my views and my values. And to the point where I'm old school. I believe young adults should strike out on their own when they get grown. So for me, girls or boys, you should be moving out before you're 20, in my opinion. I think it's great life experiences. And I just feel like there are other options. I acknowledge that times are different, financial, this, that, and the other. But I think the value of a young person's going out and standing on their own 2 feet, for me, in my views, far outweighs them staying home. Even if they're saving money, even if the economy is what it is, because that, I think, for me, is part of where I look at it differently. I'm okay with a young person struggling. You're right. You know, if you talk about housing, rent, all this kind of stuff, but I think part of the problem for me when I look around, and I reference back to the beginning of this show, where these young people are graduating with the Maybachs and the Rolls Royces, the message for me that is sending is that's what's waiting on them. And without going too deep in the weeds, my problem with that, welcome to the Postons, how you doing? My welcome with that is when I look at these elaborate graduation ceremonies where they're spending X amount of dollars on hair and dress and gown, this, that, the other. And now when Monday comes and there's no job, there's no this, that, the other, the message I think it sends to a lot of these young people is that that's what's waiting on them. And so for me, I think it's okay to let them go out and find their way. It's okay for kids to stumble. I will be there as a parent to help pick you up, but you're not entitled to move into this environment that I fucking worked to get to be 56 years old to enjoy. You have to go out and earn that yourself. You haven't earned this. So if you have to start out in a starter apartment where your fucking mattress is on the floor and you got a few roaches to fight off, good for you. And Sherry, she says that she think men should be older. I actually see it the other way. Because I've been a property manager, you know what I see out here? It's the women who are got better apartments. They're the ones who signed the lease. It's the lazy ass men that's basically laying up on them. So for me, I think women, just like men, young or old, no difference, they should get out because to Sherry's point, she said, no man ain't gonna be laying up. These young bitches ain't gonna be laying up, bringing men in. The one thing that's not gonna happen now, I'm a chauvinist. I would much rather have my son in there getting some pussy than my daughter in there getting the brakes beat off her. That's just me. So I can stomach hearing a girl in there, and I would kind of feel proud. Go ahead, son, handle your business. Versus, having somebody pinning my daughter's legs back behind her ears and her getting the brakes beat off that pussy. So that's
There's
just
so
me.
much that we don't even have time to get into about that was wrong with that. How do you feel after saying that? I just want to know. No, never mind. Never mind. That's a different question. But I the reason now that we're seeing parents allowing their kids to stay in so long, like to your
Mhm.
point, it's the parents that are giving these lavish celebrations. It's the parents that are forking out the money for the proms, the graduations, and all the cars and everything. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of the parents now that are saying that from the trauma from their parents, like putting
True.
them out, that they don't want their kids to have to go through that.
So
That,
you feel I'm traumatized? So you think I've
oh,
been
you're
traumatized?
traumatized as a motherfucker. It's okay though. It's okay. We all are, it's fine. But I think sometimes too, it can get lost that maybe we want them to stand on their own feet, but also maybe you just want them to struggle because damn it, you struggled right out the gate.
And I
So
think that's a good thing. Okay,
no,
so
no,
so so
that's
okay.
jealousy is what that
Hannah, I
is.
see you shaking your Hannah and Bert. I see y'all shaking your head. Let me read a couple of comments, and I want y'all to jump in on this conversation. And I'm okay standing out here on this limb by myself. Fuck all of y'all. So that's how I feel.
Well, damn.
So let me read a couple of
We didn't
comments.
even do it. We didn't even talk yet.
I'm
He
just
didn't do
saying.
anything.
I'm just saying. Huh? So let me read a couple of comments. Izakar says, I don't mind helping my children as long as they following my rules. I'm not for the laying around, not wanting to do anything with their life. Absolutely. So, Izakar, that's kind of that. When I looked at those ratchet celebrations on TikTok, that you know what kept going through my head? What happens on Monday when you celebrate these celebrations on Monday, and now you spent that money, and now Monday comes, and you as the parents got to go to work, do whatever job you got to do. Where is that kid going? What are they doing? What's the plan? Lamb says, we're the only culture that sends our kids out ill prepared. All they've seen is how to struggle, no teaching on how to thrive. I agree with you in part, Lamb, in a sense, but that's the parents' fault though? In that like Tasha said, we could go down that rabbit hole. I think we as African Americans don't do a good job of preparing our kids to be accountable and hold them. Because my question to you is, on how many of these households is parents making sure kids come home and study with books? How many young kids are being taught to have chores anymore? How many young kids are even taught the value of getting a job instead of making sure that at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old that they have an iPhone, iPad, a fucking big screen TV in their room that they haven't earned? And so I think I agree with you, but I do think that other cultures, and I'm going to use white people for example. You know why, in my opinion, you don't see white people doing these lavish celebrations? Because their children are expected to graduate. That's not an accomplishment that you graduated high school. What the fuck else was you supposed to do? And lo and behold, I got people on social media that's celebrating their kids going to 6th grade. Why the fuck are you celebrating that? What the fuck is this little retarded bastard is supposed to do but go to the
I
6th grade?
Why are
told
we
you
having a
not to
problem with
say
people
that.
celebrating their kids though? Like,
I
why?
don't
If it's
celebrating them is fine, but the lavish celebration that you're making, to me, that you're going overboard as if they've done something special. I don't believe in participation awards. And so my thing is, you're going. I didn't even know they were celebrating kids going to 6th grade. What the fuck is this little fucker supposed to do but go to the 6th grade? What they gonna do? Drop out and get a fucking job? No, get your monkey. You know what? You did a good job, got good grades. Take that motherfucker out to Denny's, get him a good breakfast, and let's go. Let's get ready for the next year. That's okay. I digress. Hannah and Bert, before I read more comments, stop it, Tasha. Where do
You messed
you guys stand? Because I love your comments, so you don't have a problem celebrating. So, what's your thoughts,
so this is my
sister and brother, on kids staying home? And do y'all have a age limit? Does it matter if it's a difference between a girl and a boy? And I can't wait to hear this because y'all have both.
I'm gonna let you know this right now. My son is going to college. He will have his dorm. I don't want. However, I'm not putting my kids out the street to survive if I don't have to. My issue is, like, my son, he had jobs since he was 16. He knows how to write a check. He knows the bank account. He knows his signature. He knows things of life. Yes, he is for you. I'll get that. I will admit that. But I can't lie. Growing up, so was I. Like, I didn't have to eat leftovers and stuff. That wasn't how I was raised.
Mhm.
So now my mom did make me work harder than my sisters because I was the oldest, and you know the oldest sometimes you get
Okay.
the brunt of everything. But I'm not forcing I want him to go. Now I'm not gonna be running up there every day. If you need something, you're gonna have to survive. But I'm not putting them in a place when they want to move out. I want them to move out and not come back. Our issue is we put them out before they're not ready, and then they struggle and have to come back home. I want my kids, when they leave the nest, they don't have to come back. And a lot of times the other culture don't have to come back because they don't put their kids out to the wild for no reason. you have to struggle for a dollar mentality, and you don't have to always do that if you don't want to. Yes, you still have to have your own. You need to know if you work, you're going to have to pay your own bill or something. But as far as trying to struggle, I'm not teaching my kids to struggle, but you can lean on me if you need help. But I'm not sending them out to the wild until I know they're ready and they're not coming back here. Because once you're going, you're going.
Respect. So, quick last question before we go to your husband. For you, is there a difference with it being your daughter and your son as far as age that you said, or there it doesn't matter?
For me, is no difference. Now, you ain't about to bring your significant other up in here. If you old enough to bang somebody in their own privacy in your own home, then you need your own home.
So my question then would be: so daughter and son gets to be 23 years old. So there's rules where they can't lay up with their jump off.
Like they're not moving in here.
No, we're not talking about moving. And can they fuck in the house?
Well, I don't want to imagine them doing it at all. But
we can bury our head under the sand. But if she's 23, can she fuck in the house?
I'm not answering that question because my daughter. Okay, and Bert about to turn red.
Bert, what's your thoughts on this subject? I got a lot of comments to get to too.
Yeah, with me, see, I started working when I was like 10 or 11, and I was waking up with my dad. He was waking up like 2 or 3 in the morning. He's the district manager of the Enquirer, so I woke up with him because I wanted to. So that work ethic was kind of instilled in me to go out there and get your own, hustle, grind, the whole nine. Now, with that being said, during my work career, I have seen white people who stayed with their parents, was ahead of the game because they were allowed to stay at home, save, and then go out there and put that money on a home. And then that was it for them. Out the house, they were going. They contributed to the household. They didn't have to pay rent, but they did contribute to the household. They did work, but they were able to store up their money, get that seed money together. Then they was out to go out there and get their home and do what they do. As far as with me, I don't have a problem with that. As long as you're working, as long as you have a goal, as long as you have a game plan, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? As long as the end game is you leaving and being better off and being able to get that home without a struggle. And yeah, struggle's gonna come sooner or later, but as long as they're able, once they get out, they'll be able to at least be on good ground and have a good fun. Like, at least they'll have a chance. I don't want them to go out there and be behind the 8 ball.
Right.
They get behind the 8 ball because of something else, then fine, so be it. That's life. But I don't want to set them out there right at the beginning point and then they get crushed. Because then guess what? They're gonna come right back around right here. And that's not what I want. If it happens because of economic or because of unemployment or something like that, got you. But I'm just not gonna throw them out there to the wolves right yet until they at least get their footing. Now, as far as your question about the boy or a girl, nah. If you gonna come back here, your significant other, nah. Y'all got to go to a telly or something like that. But ain't nothing going up underneath.
A hotel.
Okay.
Nah,
okay.
That's not happening.
and last question.
That's disrespectful.
I got you. And last question. In terms of when they leave, is there a age variant between a boy and a girl, or no difference? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I was going to say yeah, but now I'm thinking about it. No, because to tell you the truth, my sister even came back. And she was, and it was because of various reasons, but she was in her 30s. You know what I mean?
I got you.
There was some other things that was going on, but I mean, she was able to come back.
I'm not talking about those anomalies, just so you know, those things are going to happen. I get that. But just in general, it sounds like me and Sherry are the only two who, and Sherry's kind of in the middle, where she think they can say to a certain extent.
They're not over 30.
I think the little fuckers need to go at 18 and 19 before they're 20. That's what I feel. And
absolutely not.
I'm by myself. Okay, some comments, because Issachar says when it's time for them bringing in laying up with the opposite sex, it's time for them to go. This is not a hotel. Okay, I get that. Kendrick says, I just think these millennials, I love that he stressed that these millennials are built different than what we were and are naive to real world stuff. And that may be because parents have coddled these millennial children. That's kind of the point that I was making, and maybe I would feel differently, but I put more onus on the parents in my sense. Kendrick
These aren't
says,
millennials. These are Gen Z or the kids now. I'm gonna need for y'all to put some respect on our millennial names, okay? We're the fucking parents now, okay? The fucking kids are Gen Z. Okay?
Tasha, I'm going to come to some numbers on that. Okay, but I love that she defends her. She defends her tribe. She defends her motherfucking tribe. Kitty says, I agree wholeheartedly, Lamar. And Lamar comes back and says, I agree with Tasha. Some parents want their kids to struggle like they struggle for some odd reason.
Trauma.
And so on that, again, and I'm being so serious here, and I could trust me when I say this in all seriousness, I don't say that I'm right. I'm being so serious here, but I'm just saying this is how I feel. I believe struggle is good. I believe it builds character. Now, I want to be clear about that. I am not saying that I will want my children to live with rats and roaches. I'm not saying that I want them to experience having to fucking eat government cheese and make milk with powdered milk. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, huh?
Powdered milk.
I thought that's what you meant. Like you want them to struggle a little bit.
Me too.
No. I'm not saying they have to go back to. That's why notice it's our intergenerational living then and now. Okay. There was a time when that was just the way it was. I'm proud of the fact that we have uplifted ourselves to the point where I don't even know where to go get no motherfucking government cheese. And you got me all the way fucked up if you think I'm a pour powdered milk in my cereal. So I'm not saying that. I'm a bougie motherfucker in every sense of the word here right now. I'm not saying I want my kids to struggle in that sense, but I also, on the flip side, I think we've gone too far with putting a flat screen TV in their room. And putting an iPhone. No, I want you to hear where I'm coming from. I'm not against flat screen TVs. Hear my whole point. I'm against putting a flat screen TV in their room when they're 10 and 11 and putting an iPhone in their hand. I've never owned an iPhone. That the only thing they know to wear is Jordan sneakers. And so that when there is a moment where we have to pull back and say, I can't afford these Jordans, but that's all they know. And that's all they know is eating out. I do think it's a good thing for young kids to know how to go out there and make a fucking meal out of ramen noodles, to know how to make a hamburger from scratch, because they haven't inherited that Uber Eats is the way we get down. And the first car that I want to give my child, it's not going to be a Maybach. You haven't earned that in my... Even if I could afford it, and I'm not saying I'm right, I wouldn't do it because they haven't earned it. I just think there's a value in taking steps to appreciate that this was hard fought, folks. I'm tired as a motherfucker right now to get to a point that I can live in a luxury apartment building and have my fucking trash picked up outside my door. So you didn't earn that. So you little lazy motherfucker, take that trash out every night. I'm just thinking there's a value in teaching those lessons. And if you want to say that I want them to struggle in that sense, then yes, I guess I do.
Why not? Okay, where I can understand where you're coming from, and I totally get it, because how I grew up, of course, is not how my dad grew up. But his whole thing was, and even my stepmom, their whole thing was, this isn't how we grew up. We know we're fortunate, but here is how we're going to adjust. Yeah, we're going to get this for you, but it'll be on you to foot the cost of it. So yeah, of course, yes, you can get a car. You're paying for the car. You
and
pay
Tasha,
for the note. You pay for the insurance.
And so you pull me to your side if that was happening. But that's another conversation. Tasha, I'm all the way on your side if that's happening. So to the argument that white people don't force. You're right. They some of them, most of them have the benefit of being born in better economic situations than we do. That's a fact. They go to better schools and they grew up in that environment. But all I'm saying is that I do believe when I look at my white counterparts that when they graduate high school and you ask them, okay, so what happens next? They already know they're going to college. But when you ask the typical African-American kid, they think that's it. That's the greatest accomplishment that they've done. And those are the ones who graduate. So that these over-the-top celebrations for me, I'm against it. And it's okay to celebrate your kids because only you know what that struggle was like to get them across that finish line. But to me, we are failing them if we're sending the message that there is nothing left to do. Because I got news for that ass. I'm getting ready to go through some numbers that if that's all that's left, and now that you're a high school graduate, how then, folks, do we get them to the place where with a high school graduation, they can achieve the American dream with only a high school education? Because if they're not taught how to handle money, how to spend money, the value of money, the work ethic, and so now they're laying up and they're 21, 22 and 24 and 25, and they've not earned the right to know what it took to have to go through getting qualified for a loan, having a bank account, paying real bills, so that when they get out there, to your point, brother Be Wet, is that when they go out so that they won't have to come back. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with getting your lights cut off a couple of times because there's a value in teaching that. I remember living in a house with no lights for a few months, knowing it was my fault, that I didn't have nobody to blame. Man, these comments is coming so quick. First of all, Kenny wanted to make sure that he's staying corrected, Tasha. I wanted to make sure I get that in there because she is serious. Issachar says, I don't believe in spoiling your child like that because they grew up rotten and think they're privileged. The Bible says don't spoil your child, and it's a reason. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, you know, even without bringing the Bible in it, Issachar. So that's kind of maybe what's shaping me. Lamb says, that's the parents' fault. I agree.
Exactly.
You started right off with where I agree with. My kids already know the path because we instill it in them and make it the standard. Graduate, then college, save and invest your bravo. And Lamb, I would be 1,000% on your side if every parent was where you're at. But I started this show talking about, and if you don't believe me, just go to TikTok and type in 2024 graduates. And what you will see will make you sad. It's funny, it'll make you laugh, but at the same time, after you look at clip after clip after clip, then you kind of get that like, wait a minute. Because Lamb, to your point, look at who you are. If folks watching this show, that's Mr. TFG himself. This show is on his platform. This is the most grinding motherfucker I know. He eats, sleep, and breathe this shit. And so quite naturally, it's natural for him to try to pass that on to his children, that work ethic, earn it, put in the work. But Lamb, that's where I agree with you, that first statement. It's the parents' fault, and that's the part I don't see. I want to give you guys some statistics. I want to give you some numbers because plain and simple, most people are not on the side where I'm at. So let me read some numbers to you that I wrote down by the numbers. 40% of Gen Z and millennials live with their parents. 55% of parents actually support children financially. 60% believe that children will not be financially dependent in 2025. Let me say that again, and I got more numbers for you, but I want to make sure you absorb that first part. 40% of Gen Z and millennials actually currently live with their parents, according to this one study. 55% of the parents actually support their children financially. 55%. Then 60% of those supporting those kids believe that their children will not be financially dependent in 2025. And I bring that up and I want to stop there for a second because I want to use my nephew as an example. And I'm going to put him on the spot. He's not on here. But he's out right now on a cruise with his last child. His accomplishment is, in my opinion, something you don't see. You know, my nephew has, I shouldn't put his business out there, but 7 kids by 5 different baby mamas. Let's just say that.
Now, why would you say that? You're just being messy today. Just messy.
But I had to mention that because it's going to be paramount to my next statement. Having that situation, every last one of his children has a high school diploma. His youngest child just turned 18, and they're taking him he's on a cruise as we speak, being celebrated because now they're empty nesters. And he said to me, man, don't be surprised because now you're going to see a whole lot of more of me, blah, 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 blah. And over these past few months, him and his wife went through this thing where initially the son was going to stay at home, and they end up making the decision that it would be good for him to live on his own, even though he has an entire upstairs wing of their house. They have a beautiful house. But I was talking to my nephew, and we were talking about the fact that he's going to move into a cramped little old dorm with a roommate.
Okay.
They got him a little old microwave, this, that, and the other. And we were having a conversation about, well, why did he make that decision? And I won't go into that, but I told him, I said, I'm very proud of you. Number one, whatever your kids become from this point on, you did something you don't see a lot of times in 2025, where all of your kids at least have a high school diploma. I know nasty, filthy, no good bitches out here right now that none of the kids have got a high school diploma.
Oh.
And they're touting themselves as great moms.
You're going to get so many messages when this
So,
show is over.
so Lamb says, I blame the parents. I put the blame square on the parents. I really and truly do. And so me and my nephew were having a conversation, and we were talking about the value of what it takes to become a man, in all seriousness, in 2025, because you can only protect them to a certain extent. And he was telling me how he wanted his son to struggle a little bit because he's grown up with every advantage that they could put before him. And now he wanted him to see the other side. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just sharing with the family that this is really a conversation that I wanted to have because it's happening in my own family with people I know, you know. So, and when I look at those numbers, what do you guys think about the numbers when you think about that fact that anybody, you want to comment on any part of that? 40% of Gen Z and millennials actually live with their parents. 55% of the parents support children financially, and 60% actually believe that by 2025, those same young adults they're supporting will not be financially dependent. So what happens to the empty nester's dream?
I'll say
That,
this.
it's not a dream anymore. Talk to a lot of these Gen Xers. So this is your generation. I get to blame, Black. So you and fucking Kenny, this is on y'all. Y'all created these motherfucking monsters, okay? Y'all did this. You too, Bert. Throw you in there too. Y'all created these monsters.
No, Bert didn't create nothing. Bert was hard. Listen,
Y'all created these monsters.
The kid's mom is the one that did that to them. I was hard.
Speak, my brother.
She admitted to me. She said, I spoiled the boy, and I am sorry.
I'm so glad he said that.
Tasha. She did make that statement.
That's okay, but still, I still blame Gen Xers. It's still y'all.
Blame them.
Hold on, Tasha, ain't I a baby boomer? What the fuck am I?
No, you're not a baby boomer. You're a Gen X. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I get all that shit mixed up.
That's why I,
you
know, like
60s.
He was born in
Uh,
68.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
The
he's
tail
a
end though.
Gen X. He's a
And
Gen X. Yeah, he's a Gen
yeah,
X. Because
and
the baby boomers cut off like at
Okay,
60, like 66, something
okay.
somewhere right in there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, because
you
my
just
mom's a
barely
baby
missed
boomer.
it.
She's at the last. So yeah, you're a Gen X.
Okay.
But that's why I think,
Okay.
like for like the millennials and stuff, Gen Xers, y'all started it by overcompensated from y'all's generational
Yep.
trauma from your
I
parents
don't
of
disagree with
that
you.
you would never do that to your kids. So then it amplified it with millennials and their kids. And now Gen Z, the oldest Gen Zs were born in 97. Some of them are just starting to have kids. So it's even more in Gen Alpha that you're seeing it even more.
I don't
But
disagree with you.
as far as like like the amount of people like in both generations, millennials and Gen Zs, who stay at home and their parents pay for them, that doesn't surprise me because you're constantly hearing it. Because they're moving to they're seeing the lifestyle they think that they're entitled to. They're moving to these cities, and it's a lot more difficult to support, just yourself. And especially if you're wanting to do all the things that look good with social media, yeah, then you realize, okay, well, I can't afford to do this, or I jumped out here too soon. I need to go back home. Heaven forbid some of them end up in, like failed marriages or whatever. Now they got kids, they got whole families that they got to move back in. But the parents, for the most part, are welcoming and they're a little bit more understanding, especially when they're coming back a little later on in life because they're looking at it like, yeah, it is hard out here. So,
I'm gonna break some numbers down in terms of the why, but I don't disagree with anything you said. And I just think we have swung the pendulum too far because of that. And
definitely.
so, in all seriousness, maybe we are traumatized.
We are.
I'm the first to admit that in that
Yeah.
sense. But I think Tasha, then we did swing the pendulum, and that's what's taken discipline out of homes. Some kind of way we adopted this new age parenting of I want my kids to have everything because I didn't have much. And I think that's where some of the problem has come into play. That's why I like having this conversation. I really do. Go ahead, sister.
I'm going to say this as well. I agree 100% with Tasha said. I'm going to say the kind of the 40% thing because Gen X, Gen X, they're young, so of course they're still going to be home. But I also feel like maybe that financial dependent bothers me because you should teach your kids that my kids knew about their bank cards before they were even 13. Well, my daughter's not 13 yet, but she
Hmm.
still knows this is a savings account, a bank card, things of that nature,
Right.
how to manage money, different things. Well, she hold her money too tight. She need to let it go sometime. But anyway,
Mhm.
but I feel like also this economy is trash. And even people that's been established and struggled and got to that point and nowadays are struggling. So I'm not saying that you have to stay home because my kids are going to college. When I said I want you to struggle, but both my kids know they're going to college. I feel like it's different. The numbers are different because some people just can't survive on their own in two-part households, let alone one. So I feel like the struggle right now is real for a lot of people, and that's why those numbers are like that. I feel like if the economy was a little better, those numbers might not be that way.
I want to push back on that in a sense. I agree. I don't disagree with you, but I want to go between the lines of what you said. You said that it's hard out here to survive with two income households, let alone one. You got two people on here right now doing it every day. And Tasha and I talk about this. It's not easy. It's not easy. And the reason why I want to go between the lines of what you said is part of the problem is the expectation. It can be done because Tasha and I prove it every fucking month, you know. But this is where Tasha's not in her head because we have this conversation. This is where, again, you have to be careful that saying it can't be done or it's too hard to be done. It's not easy. And Tasha can speak to this. And I think even more so for her, being a single woman doing it, being a single woman doing it. But here's the thing. What are the expectations that we're setting for those young people to go out and do it, because if we're setting the expectation that they deserve to live in this apartment, that's a problem.
Oh no, not that. I was saying
No, that's the point I'm making, because
I
therein lies the problem.
agree.
We no longer set the proper expectation that you can go out there and you may have to get a starter apartment. And I wasn't kidding when I said about the bed on the floor. I posted something on my page earlier this week where there was a picture of a room, very well kept, with a mattress and box spring and a bed on the floor and a sheet up on the window. And I posted that and I said, do you know that's how me and my wife started out? Before we built ourselves up, we was in that situation. And what was crazy about that is our marriage was at its strongest when we were struggling.
I believe that.
The truth, and I had many people comment behind that. The truth of the matter is that's why I firmly believe that struggle builds character, because she and I were so appreciative of when we did come up and became George and Wheezy and shit and moved on up, because we knew where we had come from.
Agree.
When we moved to Memphis, it's a short little story people don't know. The very first week we moved to Memphis was the ice storm in Memphis. We didn't know a soul. My wife we had been there less than a week. I had gotten a job as a manager at AutoZone. I wasn't at work 3 days. My wife was going to enroll in Concord College, I think it was called. And she had an accident. We had bought a car, a little Mustang, paid cash for it. I got a call saying your wife has been in an accident. She's been taken to regional hospital. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. I had to catch a cab, go pick my wife up from regional hospital. She had found this little one-room apartment that was roach infested, where we didn't even have a mattress. We had blankets on the floor, was a makeshift bed, because that's all we could afford. And they told me, taking her from the hospital, don't let her fall asleep for 48 hours. She had broken her glasses and all this shit. I get her home and it starts snowing. And it's the ice storm or whatever that year was, Tasha, in Memphis. And
94.
so we were without power. And we survived for close to a week off of Pepsi and Lay's potato chips. Didn't know a soul. I tell that story because my wife had gone through so much struggle with me early on in our marriage. My brother passed away of HIV and AIDS. We lost our house, this, that, and the other. So when I got to a point where shit was good, and all of a sudden I could buy her these things, we had multiple cars. My wife didn't want for nothing. But do you know the marriage drifted apart the more shit we got? The more material things we gained, the further apart we were. When we were sleeping on that little fucking mattress on the floor, you know what a date night was for us? And I'm gonna leave it here. We would go to Sonic's because we could afford an ice cream cone. And by that time, we had gotten a little fucked up car that every day we had to put oil in that bitch. It leaked everywhere it went. And we had to put a can of oil in that bitch every single day. But we was the happiest we could be. And so struggle bred character to where when we did get up on our feet and acquire things, we was one dynamic motherfucking team. You know, so I'm back to my point. If we're teaching our kids that they can go out and get an apartment like what Tasha has, that's unrealistic. She's earned that. She's worked hard. That's not her first. That's not her first apartment. She's bullshitting you. No, don't get me wrong. I know what she's saying, but I promise you, she has a beautiful apartment, clean, well maintained. You know, and again, my apartment's not the greatest, but I'm saying you have to crawl before you walk. So if we're teaching kids that you can start out running, and your first car is going to be a 2025, maybe we're setting the wrong expectation, because that's my problem with it, is that living alone and out here paying these bills, no, it ain't easy, but it can be done if you lower the expectation. And that's why I think my nephew is sending his son away. He's still there, So trust and believe he's probably going to be bringing his laundry and shit home. Every time you look up, he's probably going to be calling for money, but he wants him to experience taking the sheath from above his head and to know what it's like to have to grocery shop for itself, which brings me to some other numbers I want to share with you guys, because these are the reasons why parents, that 55% of parents are supporting their children financially. It's the reason why they say 54% say it's because of the high cost of housing. 43% say they're supporting their grown children because they're still in school. 33% say they're supporting these grown children because those kids just want to live with them. 33%. 22% are supporting their adult children because those children have low-paying jobs. 12% of these parents supporting grown adults are supporting them because their children have student loans. 10% of parents are supporting these kids because those kids are saving up to get their own place. And a staggering statistic that I put an asterisk next to is, even while 1 in 5 parents feel kids need to be dependent, 83% are content with their current situation. So all the reasons I just listed as to why they're supporting these young adults, a staggering 83% are okay with it. Of those numbers, what stands out for you?
The 83.
That's why I put an asterisk next to it.
Why are you okay with it? Now, I understand some of the reasons. I do believe that a child should eventually move out in the beginning. I just say I just don't want them to struggle out there, but you gotta get out there. But to just let them stay there because they want to with no responsibility is crazy.
33%.
Like
that's a third.
I want to not pay bills and things like that nature, but I can't because we got a house here and I still got a house in Philadelphia. So I can't just not be like, well, I want to go back home with my mom and I don't want to do nothing else. No, because the problem is the problem is you're not going to be here. You don't know when you might not wake up that next morning. Mm-hmm. So you do not, if you being a parent, you don't want to leave this earth for whatever reason, and your child has no way to survive and they're homeless on the street. I saw a video where there's a mom, it's heartbreaking, but a mom died on her way to her child's graduation from high school. So imagine you did all that. They have no life skills. Yes, you're going to be grieving, but you don't even know how to survive after that. I'm saying don't struggle, but I want you to survive and know you can go, but you know how to go to the market and buy milk. Like, you know, certain things, you know how to wash your clothes, you know, things of that nature. But to just because you don't want to, you don't have to, and parents are content, like, oh, you don't want to ever do nothing in life, that's fine. No, that part, I agree with you with that part. Like, that part is not fine with me. My mom went to college, I went to college. Like, there's certain things I do, even though I don't want you struggling, you have to do this. And high school diploma is not anything. You need to go above that and further.
I hate that we don't have any young people on this, because I would love to hear their input on this. Yeah. Anybody else? Anything jump out at you?
That 83. What was the 83% again?
83%. Yeah, 83% of parents are content with the situation, even though they know all of these things. They know that they 60% of them know that believe that their kids will not be financially dependent, and they're supporting these young adults for all of these various reasons. High cost of housing, some are in school, some just want to live there, some have low-paying jobs, some have student loans, some are saving up for their home. But 83% of these people polled, parents polled, say even though all of these are reasons why they do it, they're okay with it.
I wanted to go deeper into the numbers. This is the reason why I'm saying on the surface, that's not okay. But I want to know why they're okay. You know, you got some people out there
Good point.
where in their relationship, it might not be good with mom and dad. And maybe the kids are the buffer. So they're willing to take
Ooh, good
that
point.
to say, listen, you're here. Everything is cool while you're here. There's a lot that can play into that reasoning why they're
Absolutely.
here. Are they? Is it just is it a single mom? Is she good because her son is home? Feels more protection. As long as he's here, I got an eye on him. Everything is okay. I want to know. I want to deep dive. I want to look into those numbers and wonder why they're okay with that. Because
I got the numbers for you.
I wouldn't be okay with that. On the surface, I would not be okay with that.
Because I got some numbers for you. That perfect question. Because of this same study, 1 in 10 parents say that they plan to live with their kids when they retire. And 38% of them are considering moving in with their kids sometime in the future.
What? Oh, sorry.
And a staggering 67% are actually planning to move closer to their kids to be near their grandkids. So to your point, there is some logic behind that numbers.
Okay. Okay.
And I just want to reiterate something. These are Gen Xers, okay? So be wet, black and tinning. This is Gen Xers who are okay with their kids living at home with
She's
them. Because
right.
I'm
She's
telling you,
right.
I am almost
She's right.
100% positive if neither one of my parents were married and I asked them, it would be no question I could move back home. And I know even if I did have bills to pay, it would be so minimal. It would be so little.
She's telling the truth.
Back home with the whole family, my mom said.
She's telling the truth.
And she's a boomer.
Tasha, you have black Air Force energy right
No,
now.
she's
That's Black Air Force energy.
She's telling the truth. I can't even fight her argument.
I'm messing with her. I know.
I can't even fight her argument. She's telling the truth.
I think that from the boomers that passed down the trauma to the Gen Xers. I think a lot of Gen Xers when they're like, no, I understand it. It's fine. Yes, stay with me for as long as you want to, as long as you need to.
A lot of us are damaged, though. A majority of us are really damaged by the way we were treated. Not me, but
that's why I'm in the minority. I don't feel that way.
And you're cold because of damage.
No, it's not because of damage.
I'm with Bert. I don't feel I'm damaged.
But what I'm saying is that don't think it's going to be some free ride or a free pass. I'm still going to be on your behind.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, a lot of us are damaged.
Tasha's right.
You're absolutely right. A lot of you guys are damaged, but I also think that for a lot of Gen Xers, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I don't care. A lot of Gen Xers, this is the first time in your lives that a lot of y'all are even having to be parents. Because let's be clear, that y'all were the last generation that was able to drop off your kids to your parents' house, and your parents would watch the kids. Gen Xers are not those type of grandparents. Nothing wrong with it, but you're just different. You're just not like grandparents.
I love that you're raising. You know what this conversation is really showing? This topic is so much deeper than on the topical level.
It's layered.
It's so much deeper because I want to share some last numbers with you guys, and I want to talk about the type of support that these same parents are giving these grown adult kids. 68% of them make their kids meals. That one blew me away.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Lord. Right?
Oh, Lord.
That's the first thing they want to do. Are you hungry? Hell yes, I'm hungry.
I wish I would be cooking for some grown motherfucker.
Oh, wow.
I was just watching Friday earlier this morning before I started work, and I remember when she made her breakfast and Craig said, well, you ain't make me nothing? She said, no. I made this for me. That would be me. Make your own shit.
Oh,
but okay.
You're already cooking, though.
Hell no. I'm cooking for me, Tasha. Tasha, I'm cooking for me. Tasha, when you've got to a point where your kids are grown, why are you cooking for grown people?
Because I'm in your house. Hello, it's your house. You gonna remind me it's your house.
Okay.
It's your
okay. Get this.
Don't mess up my kitchen.
Oh, Lord. 50%
energy both ways.
Thank you. 50% of these parents
Don't
are
be
doing
being
doing the grocery shopping for their kids. Couldn't be
What?
me
I'm not
either.
doing that.
What'd you say?
I'm not doing
56% of these parents are doing all of the grocery shopping, even though they got grown kids in the house.
Nah.
And okay, that's what I wanted to check too. I wanted to make sure it's for like while they're living with them, right?
Correct.
That's what
Correct.
I'm saying. Okay.
Correct.
They're grown or they're like
They're grown. This is what the support types of support they're giving. 43% of these parents are doing these grown kids' laundry. 43%.
My kids do their own laundry.
I don't see anything wrong with. I'm waiting to hear what's wrong with the list.
My 12.
Okay, see, hold on. 23% of these parents are still scheduling their doctor's appointments for their children, for grown kids.
Okay, that has more to do with like just not
No,
having some of them not having the confidence to tell the to
that.
schedule the
What's
appointment.
the last
Some
one?
of them
Say that again, Lee.
23% of these parents are still scheduling doctor's appointments for their grown children. Tasha's justifying this shit. Tasha's justifying this shit.
I get it. I'm not saying I do it. I'm saying I get it.
Okay. And
Hey,
lastly,
Lee, you do have some parents out here that don't want their appliances to be touched. I'm talking about washers and dryers. I ran across people like that.
Okay. Lamb said love is love. I hear you, Lamb.
Yeah,
and lastly,
but I'm not groceries too high.
And the last
I
one,
love you, but I don't love washing your drawers.
And that's come on, Tasha. Come on, Tasha. You think I want to? You think I want to see my daughter's filthy nasty, the seat of her nasty no good drawers? Come on.
I can't say my stepmom. My stepmom still does my brother's laundry when he comes home, so I can't say anything about.
And how old is he? And how old is he?
He's 20.
No.
20,
No.
28.
No.
What?
No.
When he comes home to visit and he stays, like she'll be like, "I'm
Lamb, no, Lamb.
Bring the laundry down."
Lamb, come on.
Lamb, I got a question for you, Lamb.
It's not his house. It's their house.
Fuck
it's her
that.
washing. If she's offering, what's the big deal? And the other thing too, first of all, with the groceries. Please, if my parents ask me, do you want me to get you such and such? Yes, please get it for me.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with that. Lamb say moms will typically still do all of this forever. LOL. Let me tell you what's wrong with that. Let me tell you what's wrong with that, y'all. I work virtually from home. So this spot I'm sitting in right now is where I spend 8 hours of my day. When I get up from here right now, my drawers is just as musty as they can be.
I knew you was going there because I know.
I'm gonna tell you, Lamb and Chauncey, y'all to be saving yourself. The seat of my drawers is just as tart as they can be. You think I want my mom smelling my musty ass? Even looking at my drawers. Come on now, y'all.
I'm saying they will ask, they will offer. Whenever I was living with my grandmother, and you know, like how much I would work and everything, she always offered to do my laundry for me, always. But I would tell her no. But she's like, I just want to help you out.
Why did you tell her no? Why did you tell her no?
Well, because I'm very, very particular about my clothes.
Not only are you particular, you was in your hoeing days back then. I bet the seat of your drawers is just a start too.
No, not when I was staying with my grandmother. I wasn't in my hoeing days. No, that was well before that. No, I was well before that. No, I lived by myself.
Issachar says, I'm not watching my grown kids' clothes. Thank you, Issachar. Thank you. Tasha, I would be shocked to shit. No, last statistic. 11% of these parents are still waking these kids up for work.
You better
for work.
11%. It's small, but they're still waking these grown ass people up from work.
For work. Yeah.
Lamb is with you, Tasha. He say he don't see a problem.
I don't see the problem.
Cell phone, you better set an alarm.
Well, they don't want them to keep staying there, so they better wake up and go to work.
No, I'm not working your grown behind up for work.
I didn't hear one thing wrong about that.
That's so fucked up.
I heard loving parents. That's what I heard. I heard loving parents.
Up for work.
You gonna get up out of here?
Issachar says,
Wake your
Issachar says,
get
I'm
up outta
somewhat
here.
of a Gen Xer and I'm an old school granny. I watch my grandchildren when my children need me to, and you
Okay.
best believe I'm going to take care of them.
Okay.
She's agreeing with you, Tasha. She's agreeing with you.
yes.
But she said grandchildren, right?
Yeah, she said grandchildren.
That's
Hold
it.
on. Lamb says, if I go to my mom's house this weekend, she'll cook a meal and she'll let me throw my clothes in with the rest of the laundry room and put out a couple of towels for my shower. Lamb, I don't have a problem with that because you're visiting for the weekend.
You're
you visited.
I'm talking
You
about if you're
visited.
living with them on a regular basis,
Yeah.
you know, so,
My mom
you know,
was there for
visiting.
me.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
And he says, and use her toothpaste and deodorant.
Okay.
Lamb was
all
there.
right,
You
now
always
you
gotta
ain't
go
listen to my
there.
deal.
Lamb, that's a little bit much. That's a
Here
little
we
bit
go.
much.
Can you chill, Lamb?
That's a Lamb. Her
Well, what
deodorant.
kind of
Her
deodorant?
toothpaste is
Because
one thing. Her
no, but
toothpaste
what
is
kind of
okay.
deodorant? Because I kind of understand sometimes, you know.
What?
Well, it's spray. The spray
The
one.
spray, right? We talking
Okay,
spray, right?
damn, it better
You
be
know,
spray. It better be
sometimes,
spray.
like I
We
get,
talking about
you know.
spray.
We ain't talking no roll on, are we?
I don't know. It just depends. I don't know.
No,
Tasha,
we ain't rolling on nothing.
He says, and she'll let me move in if I want and get the same treatment. Good Lord.
I can see that because my mom would do that if I did. Yeah, my mom does it to my sisters, but she don't want.
Sherry, you ain't said a word, so chime in on this.
yeah.
You know,
She,
we can't hear
you
you.
moved
We can't hear you, sis. Hold on.
did you mute her, Lee?
I did not mute her.
She's not muted.
I didn't mute Siri. She's unmuted. We can't hear you, sis. No, we can't hear you. Damn.
Can
Okay.
you pop
Wait a
out
minute.
and
I heard
pop back
something.
in? Because I want to hear.
Because Lamb says
Okay.
that I want my sister to answer. Could we use Eloise Young deodorant
What's that?
in
Now I'll
toothpaste?
say this though: when the boys come here from South Carolina, I know I don't care. I will baby them. If they want something special cooked, I'll make it special for them. Stop looking like that because it's different when they come back home. You know, you want to make it lovely.
That's okay if they're visiting, but if they
no, you
live
live here.
once you know
want
they're living there.
food.
But Lamb says his whole childhood we only use Sure the white. So he's talking about sharing deodorant with his mom.
Oh no. I don't share deal. I wouldn't roll on birth deodorant.
Tasha, would you share deodorant with your mom?
I'm not rolling that away.
Yeah. Deodorant. I'm assuming it. I mean, when you're putting it on, I'm assuming you're only putting it on like when you're clean. So if you need some swipes on my deodorant, or I need some swipes, yeah, I need it.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about one off. I ain't talking about one off, but I'm talking about just on a normal basis. You're living there, and you go in.
Not on a regular basis, but not like every day. Like we only have like one stick. Like what the fuck are we? You know? No, like, but I mean, like if you happen to need some, or hell, if you see mine and you want to smell how it smells, enjoy
Lamb
yourself.
is talking about.
No, he just in there rubbing.
So sis,
I'm gonna let you, brother, tell them my story of my daughter. Tell them.
As far as what? What do you mean?
Anything, all what it said.
So I don't know what you're referencing. At what part?
I'm not doing half of none of that for my daughter. My daughter cooks for me.
Oh.
She's been doing laundry for me and my husband every Saturday since she was 12. She works. I don't never have to wake her up since she was working summer youth, 14 years old. As we speak right now, she works 3 jobs. Freddie, when she was going to college, when she wanted to go on a trip for her birthday and she didn't have the money to pay, I laughed at her. You better figure it out. Okay. Freddie was on the phone.
Trauma. Sherry, you're also a Gen Xer.
I'm not doing half of none of that.
Yeah,
I just this morning, I went to the hospital, you know, first since I had the stroke. She called, sent me a Uber. I don't have to do none of that. I'm not doing none of that. I did my job.
So that brings me to one. We're gonna close out on this one last point. Okay. You know, one last point, because again, Tasha, I don't disagree with you. I do think our generation is traumatized. I just think to push the needle, we've gone too far and went the other direction. I think we've gone the other direction. And
That list was
so
not the
Lamb,
other
Lamb, I'm
direction.
not disagreeing with that. I do, but I think we've gone too far by taking ass whoopings out of it and accountability and all that stuff. So I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I gotta say, Lamb says I just don't take pleasure in things being hard for my kids. I get it. I get it. I get it.
agree.
And I just think a little things being hard is okay. So, which brings me to my final point as we close out. And we're not even going to go down a rabbit hole because we looked at the numbers and the why. We looked at the support. Closing out, I just want to know your personal opinion. There's no right or wrong. Overall, for you, because we started at the beginning and the show asking what you thought about it, do you think as you look at the situation now, whether we covered what we feel about it, do you think this boomerang kid syndrome is going to produce adults in the sense that it's going to empower them overall in the long term, or is it going to enable them? I want to hear what each of you think, that what's happening for all of these reasons, the trauma, the this, the that, and the other, and even the 83% of parents are okay with it, and even though they don't believe these kids are going to be dependent, what do you think is going to be the end result? Is this going to result in, and I want your answer too. Are we producing the next generation where it's going to empower them or enable them? What do you guys think?
I agree that I think that this is my opinion. It's going to enable them. It's going to be a bunch of trifling, non-working, don't know how to do anything people. They already starting now with, if you're not making a certain money on social media, you complaining and begging for money. So it's too many handouts, I feel like, with this generation. Not coming at it because my son is a part of it. He will be 18 this year. But I feel like they're going to enable. They don't know how to survive now, and they're not even they're still at home and they don't know how to survive. So I feel like I feel like no, it's going to enable them. They're not ready for the world.
What you think, brother?
Like I to tell you the truth, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it all depends on what they're coming back for.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on what the household is about.
Okay.
If they're coming back for a serious situation, then I don't think it'll be enable. I think it'll be empowering, depending on the parents. But if they're just coming back, or if they're just being enabled because of the fact of social media and they feel like they're privileged and they should be able to get this and that, then they're in trouble. They're going to be in serious trouble. And I'm gonna tell you this much, and I'm gonna end it on this. I think we struggled, and government cheese, powdered milk, whole nine here. I went through all that, but guess what? Through this harsh economical times and stuff like that, I know how to survive and I know how to eat.
Y'all was drinking formula?
Yeah. Yeah.
Formula?
Had wish sandwiches.
No, the milk is in powder form, and you ate your cereal.
Everything.
You have to make the milk, Hannah. You have to put water in it and make the milk.
Yep.
It's not
It's
not formula.
No, it's not formula, but I don't know what the fuck it was. We had to use it.
Tasha, did you hear her say that?
Because I nursed. I didn't even have formula, but I saw it. Y'all saying y'all making milk out of container? That's powdered milk.
Out of powder, yeah. No, but it wasn't.
Yeah, but it's not formula.
No, right.
It's
this wasn't. Formula. No, so you thinking about this new age shit where all the nutrients, this, that, other. No, this is some struggle type shit that we talking about.
I thought y'all was joking.
No. Lamb says, furthermore, LOL, I believe in nepotism to the umpteenth power. My kids are part of me. I want them to win at all costs without having to struggle and work hard like slaves.
I draw the fucking line in nepotism now.
She said,
I draw the line.
I ain't mad at you, Lamb. I ain't mad at you, but you didn't answer my question, Lamb.
Wrong with nepotism.
You didn't answer. I'm with you, Lamb, but you didn't. Do you think overall we're producing a generation where they're going to be more empowered or enabled? So, Sherry, I'm coming to you. What do you think is coming forth from this boomerang generation? Is it going to produce the next generation of empowerment or enabled?
Enabling them, because they're not being, they don't know how to do nothing. and cooking for people because they could be a bachelor. You know, half of these young girls they not cooking. They don't know how to cook. So what you gonna do?
Mm.
And if you don't want to work, then how you going? What you gonna do?
I love Lamb's answer. I love his answer. I don't agree with it 1,000%, but I love your answer. He says, I think we're producing empowered kids. We're in a different time. Hard work isn't the goal for the younger generation. Work smarter, not harder. I love your
Hey, watch
I
answer.
me
like
draws.
that.
I love your answer, but I'm gonna tell you in a minute why I disagree with it.
I
Tasha,
love
what
that.
I
I
what
love
do you
that.
think?
I'm gonna have to
Tasha, what's your take as we end?
I it is okay. Hold on. Let me say it like this. Nothing on that list is enabling. First of all, nothing about that list was wrong with that list. Overall, in general, when I take a step back and look at what's going on out here, like with, like the economy and just in society in general, yes, I think that it is producing a nice couple of generations of enablement. However, I do think everything is cyclical. I think in a few
Mm.
years, you're going to have a super hyper dependent generation. So a whole new generation of trauma is coming because of the helicopter parenting that's going on right now that we're seeing. We
Okay.
may not be able to we may not be alive to see it in our lifetime, but I do think times are going to switch back. I do.
Okay. Love it.
Tasha,
Again,
you
there's
gonna
no
I
there's
change
like
that
I
tune.
like that.
there's no right or wrong. There's no right or
You gonna
wrong.
change that tune, Tasha, as soon as you have a kid.
Oh,
Well,
I ain't no,
she don't want
no.
no
That's
kids.
over
yeah,
with.
one of
Yeah.
yeah, I
Not
get
even
And,
close.
and
Fuck
yeah,
that.
and I'm gonna say this to Tasha's point of view. I actually hate when people say that. I actually hate when people because we get the same thing about, oh, you would feel different. You have a wife. We're single and without kids because we want to be,
No,
you know.
because
But
I see
anyway,
how happy everybody with kids is. This
that's a
conversation
whole
aired
nother
up.
conversation.
black,
First of
So
all,
let me
black Air
so
Force,
let me
first
answer the
of all,
question.
black Air Force.
So
my
no,
kids don't
we're not
trust.
talking about we're not necessarily talking about you, but I'm with Tasha on that these same happy ass parents and everything. I you I you can keep
Why
that
can't we
shit.
be
You can
happy?
keep. I'm
No,
not saying you. I'm not
I'm
saying
not
you're not.
saying
I'm not saying you're
I'm
not.
not talking about anybody on the
I'm
show.
saying
I'm
you're not.
saying by and large, even my parents included, I don't think that they lived their happiest lives because they had so many fucking kids. I don't
Who?
think so.
So again,
So
we're not going. We're ending, so we're not
That,
going to go down the rabbit hole. I don't want to answer the question though. I truly believe, and again, my personal opinion, that we're producing the next generation of enabled individuals. And even though I like Lamar's answer, I think it's a fallacy. In principle, I think that works. That yes, if we were producing a generation that thought that way, that you know what, I'm going to work smart and not hard.
Yep.
But when you take away all of the incentive to even having work ethic, you can't get to that other part for me, Lamb. And so I don't see a generation that's getting smarter. I see a generation that is completely dependent upon what they see in front of them, and they're entitled to think that that's their birthright. And that's my big fear. I hope, honestly, Tasha is right in the
Yeah.
sense that I hope it's cyclical, because my biggest fear is that when I look at Americans, and I'm not talking black or white, I'm talking Americans in general. I've been saying this for a long time. We don't create anything. We're not innovators. We're not discovering anything. When they polled Americans recently about what our goals are, too many of our young people want to be social media influencers and this, that, and the other.
really?
And we've moved so far away from what it takes to your point, Lamb, because I don't see that same work ethic. And while you may be teaching your children that, look around. And I'm going to go back to how I began the show. Look around at the new crop of 2024 graduates, that young adults that's going to be infesting these streets this summer, because now they're 18, they're free of responsibility. The one responsibility that they've had was to go to school. And so for the vast majority of them, they are now in these streets. They run these streets. And so I just personally don't have that same level of optimism that you have, that they're going to be working smarter, and that that they're going to get out here and make something of themselves, because some kind of way they've inherited all this technology and goodwill and all the advantages that they've been given to them, and they're going to put them to work. History right now is showing that they're going in the opposite direction, but I hope I'm wrong. And that's why I said I wanted to have this conversation, because I don't think there is any right or wrong answers. I'm glad to see that, having this with the family, to hear your views. And I hope we keep talking about this, because there's a whole new bumper crop, and we're going to find out pretty quickly. It's going to be a long, hot summer. We're either going to have some innovators out there who are getting ready to take this thing to the next direction, next level, or we're going to have a whole lot of slovenly, sloppy motherfuckers and bitches with their legs pulled behind their ears.
Okay.
I told you.
Okay.
I told you.
And the
Now-
men too, because they get bent over too.
And the men too.
What?
Tasha is absolutely right. When I say legs behind ears, that goes for men and women. It's going to be a long, hot summer, and every hole that they can get plugged up is coming. But if I was young and fit, now that they're 18 and 19, they're fair game on these
You know
streets.
what?
So.
You know what?
See,
I told
you trying to get canceled in a whole other
It
direction.
was you said you wasn't going in crazy.
I knew it was going to happen.
Hold on.
You said it.
I'm not out there anymore.
You said
I
no
only
red
said
zone.
that they're fair game. They're fair game on these streets.
Now, Black, you can't even joke like that no more. You're instantly labeled a predator.
I don't. Well, in that sense, then let me end it this way. I don't give a damn about labeling me a predator. If she's 18 and she wants to give me some of that pussy, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So we can settle that argument right here and right now. So you can't be grown and offer me no pussy. What am I supposed to do? Just like the dumbass
18 is
sixth
not-
grader, the dumbass fifth grader that's going through the sixth grade. You put a piece of pussy in my face and you grown, it's getting took.
Where's Kenny at so he can do this?
What? 18 is not grown.
She's in the eyes of the
Hey,
law. In the eyes
Hell,
of the
if
law,
you
that's
can
grown.
vote, hey, if you can vote, you grown. I'm sorry. You
If you
grown.
can vote,
if
you
you
can-
out
you can
here
fuck.
making
Oh my Lord.
decisions like that, then yeah, you grown.
Buy a cigarette or
So-
drink, but you can vote.
Absolutely.
That's why.
Anyway, folks, it has been another fantastic edition of Real Talk for Real Men. Please subscribe to my channel. We're still building loyal fans every Wednesday, every Saturday. We do this for love, and you can find me on YouTube and Facebook under Real Talk for Real Men, and you can find me under the TFG banner. And even though I haven't been posting a lot on TFG Ratchet, I'm trying to get back there, folks. But again, we're in a long, hot dog days of summer. So I just wanted to come on tonight and have a little fun. Thank you for being part of my Wednesday. I hope everybody have a great rest of their week. So I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night. Keep the conversations going. As always, be good to yourself. Keep it real. Keep it honest. And life is too short to not laugh at yourself. And I mean that seriously. Peace out.
Yep.
Yeah.